With the WINN FM News, I am Kevin Brown.
And I am Yolana Weeks.
Our top stories: tragic loss of Dr. Simoneth Williams sparks controversy and calls for responsible discourse.
Ras Iroy protests that the demand for boys to cut their hair is a sexist rule. Animals grazing at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. Brantley calls it a lack of responsibility.
Contraband smuggling persists in St. Kitts' correctional facilities despite increased security measures. Dequan Dorr charged with firearm possession in St. Kitts. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago has announced Energy Minister Stuart Young as his successor when he demits office. The relentless crawl of the red millipede has homeowners in Grenada seeking answers as officials weigh in on its impact. Internationally, 5 dead as huge winter storm grips United States. Now, the details. The Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has expressed profound sorrow following the untimely death of Dr. Simoneth Williams, a well-respected member of the community who lost her life in a vehicular accident on December 21st, 2024. The incident, which has left friends, family, and colleagues in mourning, is under investigation by the police to establish the circumstances surrounding her death. Dr. Williams was known for her impactful contributions to the health sector and her public advocacy, and her passing has generated an outpouring of grief among those who admired her dedication. In light of Dr. Williams' death, the police force addressed rumors circulating across various media platforms that inaccurately suggested her demise was a homicide linked to public statements she made recently. The police vehemently rejected these narratives, labeling them irresponsible, inflammatory, and baseless. They emphasized that the ongoing investigation has thus far revealed no evidence of foul play or criminal intent, assuring the public of their commitment to a transparent and impartial examination of the facts. The statement urges citizens to exercise caution when disseminating unverified information, as this could compromise the investigation's integrity and potentially sow discord within the community. Authorities have cautioned that propagating false narratives threaten public trust in law enforcement and risks eroding the community's social fabric. Quote, creating divisions among us through unfounded claims is highly detrimental, the police emphasized in their address. As the investigation progressed, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force appealed to the public for support in thoroughly examining the evidence without undue interference or prejudice. They reaffirmed their dedication to shedding light on the incident and emphasized the importance of relying on legitimate and verified sources for updates regarding Dr. Williams' passing. The resolution of this situation will depend significantly on mutual respect and understanding as the community seeks to honor the memory of a life that inspired many.
Ras Iroy Pinney protested outside Charlestown Secondary School in Nevis on Tuesday, January 7, 2025, and spoke out against the decision not to adopt the new hairstyle policy for males, which was initiated at the federal level. Ras Iroy has long advocated against the education system's policing of black hair, including locks, and has called for an end to this discrimination. He believes all children have a right to grow and wear their hair in natural hairstyles, regardless of gender.
A wrong thing the school are doing, fighting against the youth them and the rights, fighting against human rights. The Constitution says freedom of education. No child should be left out. Every child has a right to education. And how you go get girls in there with long hair and boys that to cut their hair? That's a sexist rule. You can't get one rule for boys and a separate rule for girls. Fire! And judgment we call for the system, you know? We can stand for the youth, them asking all parents, do not cut your boys here, you don't have to. It is against the law to make you cut your hair. That's a basic right. You born with hair, your hair will grow. You know? This thing about cutting hair is a colonial slavish mentality. Cut all the slaves them here, make them look young, they make more money. We done with that. All them inside there with the long braids and all kind of thing and making the youth them cut the hair. Turning the space into a kind of Batman system. Fire! Fire! You don't stand up for justice, you know? Yeah, man.
On August 31, 2023, Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, the Minister of Education, declared that the government agreed on an updated hair policy for school-aged children to create an inclusive and respectful environment that promotes diversity and self-expression in line with school standards. The Ministry of Education also believed the move would safeguard against discrimination while maintaining safety and professional appearance. The second of 9 guidelines states, quote, traditional haircuts, natural locks, afros, and cornrows are permitted for male and female students, unquote. But the guidelines were not fully implemented on the island of Nevis. Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, is pleading to the farming community in the Prospect area and users of the Nevis Athletic Stadium to be more responsible in their actions. Brantley, on January 5, 2025, argued that millions were spent on the facility to enhance sports on the island, but the facility seemingly became a grazing area for animals because of irresponsibility.
These are sheep and goats from the local farmers in the neighborhood who absolutely refuse to control their animals and continue to be irresponsible. Now they're on the field, in field. When that happens, they defecate, they do all things there. In field ends up with kosher and weeds as a result of this. Now, what are we supposed to do as a government? And why is it our people can't respond to the appeals that continue to be made to them to act responsibly? Should $1 million establishment like this really have animals grazing on it every day? Farmers are cutting the fence to allow their animals to come inside here. Is this right? And these are some of the frustrations that we have, and when we talk, people get upset.
The Nevis Athletics Stadium is open for use by the general public. It is used daily for people who wish to exercise. However, Brantley shared the view that some people who use the facility refuse to close the gates when they enter or leave, thus giving the animals easy access to the facility. All around, we need more responsible behavior, the Premier stated. The Premier captured and published the footage of the animals grazing at the facility, which garnered much public attention. Some people suggested impounding the animals, butchering them, or instituting a legislative framework inclusive of fines to address the issue. Brantley declared, quote, "We cannot and will not be able to build the Nevis we all want if some of our people continue to behave irresponsibly and to cause harm and inconvenience to others by their behavior. A word to the wise should be enough," unquote.
A worrying trend has emerged within the correctional system of St. Kitts and Nevis as authorities report ongoing smuggling of contraband into His Majesty's prison. The troubling situation surfaced recently with the arrest of multiple individuals linked to illicit conveyance of prohibited items into the facility, raising serious concerns regarding the overall security and management of the prison. On January 5, 2025, Stedroy Jules, a prison officer and a former Defense Force officer, a resident of St. Paul's, was formally charged with multiple offenses involving the transportation of cannabis, tobacco, and wrappers into His Majesty's prison. These offenses indicate a more significant problem, reflecting the sophisticated networks facilitating contraband smuggling within the prison system. The contraband was allegedly conveyed or smuggled on January 3, 2025, emphasizing the pressing need for heightened vigilance among prison officials and security forces. In addition to Jules, Sean Walters of Lodge Village and Ashaki Rogers of Shadwell Estate have been apprehended on charges of conveying contraband into His Majesty's prison. These charges stem from the October 20th, 2024 incident, highlighting an alarming pattern of recurrent attempts to breach the prison's security parameters. Walters faced 2 charges while Rogers was charged once. Both parties were apprehended shortly after on October 23, 2024 at different police stations. Earlier in 2024, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, in conjunction with the St. Kitts Nevis Defence Force and His Majesty's prison officials, conducted a successful search operation on July 23, 2024, which yielded a notable size of various contraband items. The operation, part of continuous efforts to maintain order within the prison, resulted in the confiscation of 5 cell phones, multiple chargers, razor blades, makeshift weapons, and a significant quantity of cannabis and tobacco, among other prohibited items. The enormity of the seized items underscores the critical threats to inmate and staff safety and the broader implications for public security. Commissioner of Corrections Franklin Dorset has expressed appreciation for the security forces' collaborative efforts, underscoring their unwavering commitment to ensuring a secure environment in His Majesty's prison. In corroboration, Commissioner of Police James Sutton noted that interagency cooperation remains vital in combating security challenges, asserting their dedication to supporting prison officers in fostering a stable and secure environment. As the authorities continue to fight contraband smuggling, the police urge individuals with pertinent information about illegal activities to come forward. The ongoing issues within St. Kitts' correctional facilities necessitate a community-wide effort to combat the pervasive threat of contraband, thus safeguarding the well-being of inmates, staff, and society as a whole. Dequan Dorr, a resident of East Street in Newtown, St. Kitts, was formally charged with possession of a firearm with intent to endanger life. The charge follows an incident on January 2nd, 2025. On January 4th, 2025, Dorr was charged at the Bastia police station. The authorities have not disclosed further details about the firearms involved or any prior criminal history of Mr. Dorr. However, this latest charge serves as a potent reminder of the pervasive threat posed by illegal guns in the society. In regional news, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago has announced Energy Minister Stuart Young as his successor when he demits office. Triple T Live Online reports.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has announced Energy Minister Stuart Young as his successor when he demits office. He said Minister Young was selected by the Parliamentary Caucus of the People's National Movement. The announcement came on the final day of the caucus retreat in Tobago.
Speaking to the media on Monday following the Parliamentary Caucus's retreat in Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley explained once a vacancy arises with respect to the position of Prime Minister, the President will respond by making an appointment of the person who in the President's view commands the majority in the House.
We, as a caucus of the PNM in the House, we discussed at length, and we, in the end, came up with a situation where the entire PNM caucus is in support of Member of Parliament Stuart Young.
The choices were Minister Young and the Minister of Planning and Development Penelope Beckles-Robinson for Prime Minister when the Parliamentary Caucus placed a vote. In the end, Minister Young was the selected choice as he received the majority of votes. Dr. Rowley believes Minister Young is competent enough to take up the reins as Prime Minister.
While many other members of the cabinet could also have been considered, I have no doubt that Minister Young's experience, his dedication, and his commitment to the people of Trinidad and Tobago will ensure that during the period that he has the responsibility for being Prime Minister, he will continue to put the people of Trinidad and Tobago's interests first.
He explained before vacating the position, there are final matters he wishes to attend to.
There are a couple of things that I am still committed to doing before I come out of office. One of which is to attend the CARICOM meeting in Barbados. That is on the 19th of February. And sometime after that, I would indicate the actual date when I leave. But I'm busy on some matters that I'm wrapping up. I don't want to just walk away and leave things that I could do easily for somebody else to do with more difficulty.
With regard to who will lead the party as political leader into the general elections, Dr. Rowley said this will be addressed at a later date.
We will cross those bridges when we come to them. Right? Well, if the election is called tomorrow, I'll still be the political leader. If it's called later on, I might not be the political leader.
The Prime Minister also announced that the People's National Movement will host their special convention on September 28, 2025, instead of 2026. Carissa Douglas, TTT News.
Soon after the announcement by the Prime Minister, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries and Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, Senior Counsel Stuart Young took to social media to express his gratitude. Minister Young thanked his parliamentary colleagues for the confidence they expressed in him to take up the role as Prime Minister. In a post to his Facebook page, he also used the opportunity to thank Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley for his continued and exemplary leadership. Minister Young said he looks forward to working tirelessly, not only with members of the PNM, but with all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago.
The relentless crawl of the red millipede has homeowners in Grenada seeking answers as officials weigh in on its impact. Grenada Broadcasting Network has the details.
These creatures were first spotted about 4 years ago during the construction phase of a major hotel in the south of the island, sparking concerns as they spread to neighboring territories. During the past week, an influx of the millipede has been detected in areas around St. George and Hope in St. Andrew, which has many individuals frantic, curious about the origin and potential dangers. Some took to social media with footage highlighting the extent of infestation of their homes and businesses. The Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, Forestry and Marine Resources Pest Management Unit has responded to the concerns, explaining that this surge in a millipede population has been directly linked to the recent excessive rainfall, which created conditions conducive to their proliferation. Francis Noel is the Acting Pest Management Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture.
The south of the island, that's where we notice it first. So it's our assumption that it would have come in, entered through that part of the island and established themselves. And it has not been known to be a pest. But seeing that it is new in our environment, a lot of people have become concerned because it is in their homes. It's not something that you want coming into your home, especially if you have little children and stuff like that, you know. So there has been a lot of concern, and the ministry is aware of that. We're not encouraging anybody to be worried because they're not known to be, as we say, a pest or to be dangerous in any way to human beings, you know.
Noel said the organisms were first detected in the vicinity of Point Celine. He explained the conditions that are conducive for reproduction.
We went down to the south of the island to do a little scouting and to see what the situation, do an assessment of the situation. And a lot of people who live there, they have a lot of organic matter around their homes, and this is what they like. Okay, they love to live in the organic matter where it's moist, and they do all the reproduction and stuff like that in the organic matter, and they feed on it as well too. So as the south of the island, we also have a presence of them up at Hope in St. Andrews.
While these organisms are not harmful to humans, their presence can cause significant discomfort and inconvenience to residents. However, the millipede infestation poses possible impacts on plants and animals. For plants, millipedes can damage roots and seedlings, increase soil moisture leading to root rot, and compete for organic resources. For animals, the displacement of millipedes seeking drier habitats can cause distress to domestic animals and wildlife, disrupt the local food chain, and alter microbial balances in the soil, affecting decomposition and nutrient cycling. Addressing the infestation promptly is crucial to mitigating those ecological disturbances and restoring balance to the affected areas. To mitigate the impact of the infestation, Moses Frank, plant quarantine officer, has this advice for residents.
And over the years, we have been working tirelessly trying to control them, informing the public as to sanitation at home, because they like a lot of debris and work on humus. So we don't want to involve in too much a hard chemical. We used to use a biological chemical which we call spinosad, which we got fairly controlled. But it's a environmental thing. Everybody have to play the part.
The ministry urges everyone to remain vigilant and proactive in managing this situation. Christina John, GBN News.
We now bring you these international reports.
At least 5 people have died in the winter storm that has seized parts of the US in its icy grip, leading to mass school closures, travel chaos and power cuts. 7 US states, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Kansas, Missouri, Kentucky and Arkansas, have all declared emergencies. More than 2,300 flights have been cancelled, with nearly 9,000 delays also reported owing to the extreme weather. It's caused by a polar vortex of icy cold air that usually circles the North Pole but is reaching further south. Thousands of people were left without power early on Tuesday across states in the storm's path. Here's CBS News correspondent Rob Marciano in Washington with the latest.
The sun is coming up, but the brutally cold has set in. We are in our nation's capital, and we don't often get snow like this here in Washington, D.C., and it is beautiful. Watching on the television screen, there's the monument itself. You can see traffic's flowing okay on the main roads, but a lot of the secondary roads, because they're not used to this kind of snow, have not been fully plowed, and they've been frozen over. So it's dicey there. Schools have been closed again today. Many federal buildings and museums are shut down again as they try to scrape away the snow, but the cold is going all the way down to the deep south. And even though this storm is past, there's another system that's developing out of Texas, and that will trek across many of the same areas tomorrow, Thursday, and into Friday, and likely have similar impacts in dumping more snow, more ice as we head towards the weekend. So we've had pretty mild winters the past couple of years, but obviously Mother Nature has a different idea for 2025, and we're into it now, and much of the country is dealing with some brutal cold that's not going to go away anytime too soon.
Elon Musk's intervention in UK politics isn't happening in isolation. When Musk bought Twitter, he didn't just buy a business, he bought the power to exert influence. In the US election, Musk used Twitter, now rebranded as X, to amplify his support for Donald Trump. After Trump's victory, Musk was ever present. The power he had derived from technology had been translated into huge political power. He'll co-lead a new Department of Government Efficiency, and he's pronounced, this won't be business as usual. This is going to be a revolution. More broadly, the revolution Musk is seeking is not contained to the US. In Brazil, he initially defied a court order for X to do more to restrict misinformation. He said the judge was trying to destroy democracy. X would later meet all of the court's demands. Then in Germany, there's an election next month, with the far-right AfD party in contention. Musk has posted, only the AfD can save Germany, and he says the party resonates with many Germans who feel their concerns are ignored by the establishment. This week, Musk plans to interview the leader of the AfD on X, and the EU says it's looking at this as part of a wider investigation into the platform. Musk has turned to the UK too, particularly the issue of grooming gangs. He's made or shared a number of unsubstantiated claims, and has asked if America should liberate the people of Britain from their tyrannical government. Watching all of this are Europe's leaders. Norway's Prime Minister says Musk's interventions are worrying, and the French President Emmanuel Macron has said 10 years ago, who would have imagined that the owner of one of the world's largest social networks would be intervening directly in elections? But a lot has changed in 10 years, and Elon Musk, to the delight of his supporters, is a man set on challenging the status quo, set on changing how we all live. And he's doing this in a range of ways, through space travel, through how we access the internet, through electric vehicles, and now by influencing the information we consume and the issues we discuss. You are the media, Musk tells people on X, as he declares legacy media are dishonest in all aspects, and as he frequently shares untrue and misleading information himself. Elon Musk has talked of finding a new philosophy of the future, and to shape the future, he wants to shape who's in power, not just in the US, but elsewhere, including in the UK.
France on Tuesday remembered the victims of the deadly assault on satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo 10 years on. The incident marked the start of a series of Islamist militant attacks in the country and stoked a debate about freedom of expression and religion in secular France. President Emmanuel Macron and Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo led commemorations, which included a wreath-laying ceremony and a minute's silence at 3 locations in the capital. In 2015, 2 masked al-Qaeda-linked gunmen stormed the Charlie Hebdo offices and killed 12 people. They sought to avenge the Prophet Muhammad, nearly a decade after the magazine published cartoons mocking the religious leader. The killings prompted an outpouring of national sympathy, expressed in the slogan Je suis Charlie. Former French President François Hollande recalled moments he would, quote, never forget.
My strongest memory is a phone call. Patrick Pellu, an emergency doctor, a friend who was a member of the Charlie Hebdo editorial team, called me when I had already been informed that there had been an attack on Charlie Hebdo. and he described the crime scene to me, crying. He told me that they were all dead, or almost all dead, that there was desolation.
The attackers, brandishing assault rifles, killed 8 members of the editorial team and 4 others before being shot dead by police. Other attacks followed. Over the next 2 days, another French-born man killed a policewoman and 4 Jewish hostages in a kosher supermarket in a Paris suburb. Since then, more than 250 people have been killed in France in Islamist violence. It lays bare France's struggle to counter the threat posed by militants. Charlie Hebdo published a special edition to mark the anniversary, depicting a man sitting on the butt of a gun in front of the word indestructible on its cover. The anniversary has prompted renewed reflection in France about press freedoms.
Inside the cavernous Las Vegas Convention Center, AI is the buzzword behind a plethora of new products. There's an AI sleep pillow to stop you from snoring, an AI tool to help you put on your makeup, AI-powered lights and speakers to help you relax, an AI robot that will, very slowly, hand you a drink, and a little AI puppy to make you feel all warm inside.
AI, it's woven into just about every product category you can imagine and into just about everything you can find in the home right now.
And with the profusion of products come far-reaching claims.
AI is more like humans finding fire than it is anything else. There's not really been something like it.
The trouble is, a lot of AI tech just doesn't work, like a so-called social robot that's supposed to show empathy.
I didn't understand.
There is quite a lot of hype that goes into artificial intelligence. The idea that it can do anything and everything kind of pervades itself out into the public imagination, and then everyone tries to use it for everything.
By some estimates, more than 80% of AI projects fail, twice the failure rate for non-AI products, backing up the view that AI won't change the world overnight. AI is an imperfect tool programmed and deployed by humans. It doesn't think or act on its own. Not yet, anyway.
They make things up, right? They're not, again, reporting facts to you. They're not telling you the truth of the matter. They're trying to give you the most statistically likely to be accepted answer based on your prompt.
One of the factors is that the people hyping AI are the ones who stand to benefit most from it, like the CEOs of generative AI companies and advanced computer chip makers.
In many cases, company outreach is specifically meant to either invoke awe, such as by claiming that AI can do it all, or even fear in some cases, such as by saying that AI will kill us all. And I think both of these extremes are to a large extent incorrect.
None of this means that AI will not eventually provide benefits in certain industries or change the way that people work and live. But for those expecting an immediate revolution, it's best to remember the old saying, buyer and investor beware. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Las Vegas.
You were listening to the WINN FM 98.9 newscast. Our top stories were: tragic loss of Dr. Simoneth Williams sparks controversy and calls for responsible discourse.
Ras Iroy protests that the demand for boys to cut their hair is a sexist rule. Animals grazing at the Nevis Athletic Stadium. Brantley calls it a lack of responsibility.
Contraband smuggling persists in St. Kitts' correctional facilities despite increased security measures. Dequan Dorr charged with firearm possession in St. Kitts. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago has announced Energy Minister Stuart Young as his successor when he demits office. The relentless crawl of the red millipede has homeowners in Grenada seeking answers as officials weigh in on its impact. Internationally, 5 dead as huge winter storm grips United States. Thank you for listening.